Hi, welcome to Aimee Nolte Music. Today we're going to be talking about jam sessions, jazz jam sessions. Have you ever gone to one? Have you ever wanted to go to one? Maybe been too scared to go to one? Hopefully today I'm going to address those things so that you're not scared about it anymore. And the next time you want to go to one, you're going to be totally prepared. Tiny little tidbit about me is that I kind of hate the word jam, at least when we're not talking about like yummy berries with sugar in a jar. I don't really like it. I feel like rock musicians use that word to say, let's get together and play music that we haven't thought about or rehearsed at all, and I'm gonna play 3 chords and then you just join in and we play like the same 3 chords for like 22 minutes. I don't like the word jam, but we do use it as jazz musicians when we're talking about the jam session, which is the place that you get together with people to play music in a very organized fashion. So don't ever ask a jazz musician if they want to jam with you, because they're probably going to look at you like you're a little bit nuts. Just say, can we get together and play music at some point? That's a better way. Because that's not what we're about. We're not about playing the same 3 chords for 22 minutes. Let me explain. So at a jazz jam session, this is how it works. They hire some good jazz musicians. They usually hire a piano player, a drummer, bass player. Maybe it's a guitar player instead of a piano player. That's usually about the makeup of it. Sometimes maybe there'll be a leader who's a saxophone player, trumpet player, something like that. Sometimes the leader is a singer. That happens too. Singers, if you can find a jam session that is run by a singer, that's better for you. We'll talk about that in a second though. All right, so these cats come to the gig. That's their gig, like whatever it is. Let's say it's every Wednesday night. They come to the Wednesday night jam session. That's their job. They probably get $100 a piece to be there. Their job is to play a few tunes now and then to kind of show everybody what they're about and give you something to shoot for, usually. And then the leader's job is to put a list over somewhere where you can find it. Everybody who shows up that wants to play that night signs up on the list. It could be anybody. It could be a drummer, bass player, could be a conga player that brings her own conga, it could be a flute player, it doesn't matter. But a lot of the times, and you need to kind of check and be aware, if the leader of the jazz jam session is not a singer, chances are they don't normally have singers and it's just an instrumental jam session. It doesn't mean that that's okay or that they should be exclusive like that, but it's something that you kind of have to feel out. Maybe you need to go talk to that leader and say, maybe you need to come as an observer one time and say, if I wanted to sing in your jam session, is that allowed? And they'll tell you about it. But there are, sadly, it's kind of sad, it's a little bit segregated. There are jam sessions that are more for instrumentalists or even only for instrumentalists, and then there's other ones that cater more to singers. I think they should combine a little bit. I'll tell you about the second last jam session I went to, and I probably only go to about 1 or 2 a year at this point. I was in Chicago just visiting, and I just wanted to go meet some people and hear some jazz in a relaxed setting. So I went to, I'm not going to remember the name of it, and there was a jam there, and there were like local college guys and recent college grads that were running it, and I could tell when I got there that was an instrumental jazz jam. So I signed up, I went and introduced myself to the leader. I said, hey, I'm Aimee, I'm visiting from Los Angeles, and I play piano and I sing. I said, I'd like to sign up for your jazz jam tonight, and I'm fine to just play piano, but if you've got a microphone, I'd love to sing too. And he was like, let's set it up. And he was a super nice guy. All those guys there that night, they're like my Facebook friends now. Great people. And they were great. And they let me do a couple tunes, and then I stayed and I listened to them, and they were amazing players. That was really fun. But it's a little bit, you just kind of have to feel it out. Like, there's a good chance that he would have said, I'm sorry, we don't have a microphone, or usually singers don't sing. And then you just kind of have to be cool with that. You don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. At least I don't. Okay, so those guys are getting paid for their gig every week. And it's kind of a grind for them. Like, they're probably glad to have that gig, but truth be told, it's that's the grind. Like, that's the hustle. They've got to do it to put like food on the table a lot of the time. Sometimes they're just cool guys and they want to be there because they're hanging out with their friends and they get to meet all kinds of cool people and get some free drinks and whatever. That's the case a lot of the time too. But you kind of need to just realize that those guys are there doing you a service, and just keep that in your mind the whole time as you're preparing to sing or play or whatever. Those guys are there doing you a service. They're there to accompany you. Okay, so what happens is anybody who's on the list, the leader will call them up. Let's say it's a piano player. They'll be like, all right, Tommy, you're first. You're a piano player. And then he'll be like, all right, Billy, go sit down. He'll tell his piano player, take a break for a little bit. It is going to be, what'd I say, Tom? It's going to be Tommy's turn. So Tommy comes up. They all look at Tommy. They say, Tommy, what tune do you want to play? And Tommy calls a tune. Now, this is where Tommy has to be careful, because he might call a really obscure tune and nobody knows it. That's kind of trouble. If he does that, they're probably going to go, maybe one of them will know it, maybe a couple of them won't. They'll be like, yeah, man, I don't really know that. And then Tommy will be like, okay. And then he's got to think of another one right there. This is Tommy's mistake. If he's a new guy at this jam session, if you're a new guy, new girl at this jam session, your best bet is to call a jazz standard that everybody knows. So Tommy should have gotten up there and said, I want to play Stella by Starlight. And they say, okay. And then it's Tommy's job to count it off. They'll say, count us off, Tommy, or how do you want to play it, Tommy? And Tommy will be like, I want to play it just like Miles Davis plays it. Or he'll say, let's swing it. Medium swing, he could say. Medium swing, he could say. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, boo, boo, ba, boo. And they play it, because they all know Stella by Starlight, so they play. But it was Tommy's job to tell him that he wanted to swing and how fast he wanted to go. And Tommy was awesome, because he counted it off very confidently, in just the way that you should count off a tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And you want to kind of feel it as you count it off. 1, 2, if you want to have a little energy, you might do some of this. Look how good I look. And if you want it to be kind of, if you don't want all that energy, you might want to count it off. 1, 2, 1, 2. Then they start. Does that make sense? However your mood is when you count off the tune, that's going to be the band's mood when they come in. They're going to match your mood by your count off. All right, Tommy gets to play that tune, and then he's out of there. And then maybe he says, oh, it looks like the next 3 people on the list are horn players. All right, come on up. And he calls them up. And so then it's a little tricky. They've got to find a tune that all of them know. So sometimes if a lot of people come up, you might pick an easier jazz standard or one that everybody knows. Maybe those 3 guys are killer players, all of them, and they say that they'd like to play Solar or 7 Steps to Heaven or Ruby, My Dear, or anything that's, some cool jazz song. As long as everybody knows it, everybody will play it. But if somebody doesn't know it, it kind of slows things up. So here's one thing. If you're an instrumentalist going to a jam session, you better be sure that you know a lot of tunes. If you don't know a lot of tunes, you're going to want to be the one to call the tune. So say those 3 guys get called up and you think you're probably the weak player. You're going to talk to those 2 people that are going with you, and you're going to say, would it be okay if we play All of Me? I don't know that many tunes. And they're going to be nice to you. They should be nice to you. And they'll say, sure. So then it's your job to count it off. And you do it. You might say, can we play All of Me as a samba? And they'll be like, okay. And then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, do, 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 good. And then they'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. You thought of a new feel for All of Me. Nice. But do you hear how he counted it off? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to count it off in the feel that you want to happen. If that means a tiny bit of beatboxing, tiny bit of moving your body, whatever it takes, just so that the band understands how you want to feel this music once it starts happening. All right, so those So those three guys are all going to take solos on this song. Now, another thing that happens on every song in a jam session is that almost everybody takes a solo every single time. It can be tedious. It can be long. Which brings me to my next point. Don't call a ballad. You have got to be darn good at a jam session to pull off a ballad. Because what ends up happening is it's a tempo that's going by very slowly, and then the singer, if it's a singer who calls it, he finishes singing all the way through one chorus, and then he steps back and expects people to take solos. Now, if you do call a ballad, what you're going to want to do is ask the piano player ahead of time to take that solo, or the trumpet player, or the guitar player, whatever you want. You say, can you take half a solo and I'll come back in on the second half? Because that's exactly what everybody wants you to do. Nobody will mind playing a ballad if you do that. If you say, I won't require you all to take many solos. We don't want the ballad to stretch on forever. So you sing it all the way through, and then you let the piano player play half a solo, and then you come in the second half and sing it out. Now that's very good. Let's talk about solo order. There is no solo order. There is none. But typically the bass player kind of goes last. Sorry, bass players, it's just how it is sometimes. If you've got a leader on the jam that is creative, they might tell you to solo first or second, or mix things up a little bit. But typically you've got your horn players, they'll all take a turn, and then the piano player or guitar player will take a turn, maybe both of them, and then the bass player will take a turn, and then usually you trade four with the drummer. We'll go over what it means to trade fours in another video. But if you're the new person that just came on, or if you're the singer, about the time that the bass player takes their solo, or the drummer starts trading fours or takes a solo of his or her own, that's about the time that you think, okay, it's wrapping up. I'm gonna have to sing the head out now, and you get ready for that. And what do you do while everybody solos? Nothing. All you do is enjoy what they're doing. So if you're the singer and you were out front, you might just take a step back so that you don't seem front and center anymore. And body language will kind of let everybody know that you care about what these other musicians are doing. And then all you have to do is just listen to them. Just listen to them and dig them. That's it. That's easy to do. Okay, let's say that the next person on the list is a singer. Let's say that her name is Sue. Now, Sue is nervous. Sue has never done this before. Sue knows one jazz standard. That's all she knows. Sue knows how to sing Summertime. It's very common. It's like one of the first jazz standards that people learn. So Sue is timid. Sue, I'm gonna stop you right there. Let's back up a month. Sue has learned Summertime, and she has a goal of going to a jam session. Good job, Sue. That's a good goal. Sue, when you get there, you're gonna wanna know a few things. You're gonna wanna know what key you sing it in. First off, that's your first thing. What key do I sing Summertime in? Let's say that Sue sings it Summertime. Sue might say, I sing it right there. Summertime. How do I know what key that's in? Well, Sue, you've got to work that out before you get there, all right? So Sue works it out. She goes, all right, I'm going to be singing Summertime in F minor. And that's good. Sue, how do you want to sing Summertime? Because you could sing Summertime a lot of ways. It could be summertime, and the living is easy. It could be summertime, it could be summertime, and the living. It could be any of those ways, or any other ways. You have to decide. And then when you get there, you say, hi guys, I'm Sue. We're fast forwarding now. We're fast forwarding back the month. You get there, you say, hi everybody, I'm Sue. This is actually my first time at a jam session, but I think I'm ready. I sing Summertime in F minor, and I'd like to do it as a bossa nova. So, about here. And the guys will go, okay. And then you go, can you just vamp on an F minor chord at the beginning for 4 bars, and then I'll come in? See, here's the other thing. Sue prepared a month ago. She thought of what she wanted her introduction to be, and then she was ready to tell the guys. Now, singers, if you get to your jam session and you know that you want to sing Summertime in F minor, but you haven't thought about your introduction or the end of the song, you're in trouble. Because if the second that you say to that piano player, could you just make up something for an introduction? They're going to feel put off. They're going to feel used and abused. So don't do it. The piano players like it when you tell them what to do, for the most part, as long as you're very nice about it. So you say, can you just vamp on an F minor chord for 4 bars? That's easy. They'll say, sure. And then you say, and when we get to the end, could you just vamp on the F minor chord and I'll end it? And then when you get to it, all you have to do is and somehow you use your body language to tell the band when to end. Don't let it go on a long time. If you're going to vamp for the end of your song, don't let it go on a super long time. You've got to be really good to pull that off. Sue, you're not that good yet. So there we go. There's that. What else do I need to tell you about jam sessions? Oh, if you're a singer and you're going to scat, or if you're an instrumentalist and you're going to play, don't play like 3 or 4 choruses. If you're new at this jam session, you take 2 choruses max, unless it's a really short form. But just have some etiquette, you know. You're there to shine for that moment, but it's just a throw together thing. It's not like you're at Carnegie Hall and you show up and this is your moment. You're just with a whole bunch of people that are just like you, that are just there to have some fun. That's all. So don't treat it like, don't treat it like it's a huge big deal. I mean, maybe it is a big deal to you. If you're Sue, it's a big deal. You've been working at it for a month. But once you get there, don't treat it like it's all about you. It's all about all of you collectively together making something beautiful, even though it's your first time together. And that's the magic of a jazz jam session, is that we all know these songs. We've all done our homework for years and years, and we're ready to play the tune that you call. Here's another thing. If you call a tune that maybe everybody isn't familiar with, like maybe you want to play Long Ago and Far Away, which is a very familiar jazz standard, but maybe everybody in the band doesn't know it. Maybe the bass player's like, oh, I don't know that one. Just have a backup plan. Be like, oh, okay, do you know Corcovado? Yes, everybody knows it? Okay, good. Have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C every time you come to a jam session. I always do. And if I get there and somebody else sings my plan A, then I go to plan B. Or if it's my turn and they've just done 2 Latin songs in a row and 2 of my choices are Latin songs, I'm going to choose my 3rd choice that's the swing song. Because you kind of want to switch up feels at a jam session too. Maybe if you've been sitting there and listened to like 12 people play and nobody has called anything in 6/8 or in 3/4, you could always have one of those in your back pocket and everybody will appreciate you for having changed the feel of everything. That would be nice. That'd be nice. Would you do that? Yeah, thanks. I do think it's a good idea to go to a jam session if you're new, if it's brand new to you, to go to one and watch how it goes. Maybe meet somebody there who can sit with you and explain or tell you, oh, this guy's been here 10 years, or this is a brand new band. They just got hired last month, so this is all new. I mean, you kind of want to know just the vibe of everybody there and what's going on, and just coming as a listener for one time might be a really good way to do that. All right, get out there, go to the jam session. You can do it. It's fun. It's a great way to meet people. If you're new in a city, if you're a jazz player and you're just moving to a new city, that's the best way to go meet people. Bring some business cards, put them right where you can just hand them to people. So as soon as you get done playing, if they like what you do, they'll be like, I really like what you did. You sounded good. You'd be like, oh, here's my card. Call me sometime. It's a great way to make connections. Jazz jam. It's a beautiful thing. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you next time on Aimee Nolte Music.